Everyone, my name is Leilani and I'm in upper prep, which is 6th grade.
Hi, my name is Jordan, and I'm also in upper prep.
Hi, my name is Izzy, and I'm in 7th grade, which is also known as Form 1.
Hi, I'm John. I'm in Form 2 or 8th grade.
Awesome. So all of you participants out there, if you would use your Q&A button on the bottom of your screen, I will help our students answer some questions. So our first question is about music and whether or not they can do both orchestra and choir. Does anybody know that? Does anybody do orchestra and choir? I don't think any of these guys do, but there are absolutely positively opportunities to do both orchestra and choir. It does mean that you might not have as many study halls as somebody else, but certainly it's possible, yeah. We've got another one. What happens if you're a student who might not be that into sports? Leilani.
So I want to answer this because I can relate to that. I'm a competitive dancer, but sports like this haven't really been my thing. So I tried out cross country, and since it was running, it was good for stamina and everything that could help with dance. And I actually had a great time. I enjoyed myself. So I think that if you start with any sport, really, you can try any sport, and the coaches will help you get into it. And it's not like everyone on the team is amazing, and like there are some people who might not have done a sport also. So I would just say, like, just try to pick a sport, ease into it, and also you can have the option to switch in like the first week if you might not like it, or just any reason you can switch. And I just say, like, pick one, ease into it, and just try it out.
Awesome. Anybody else want to talk about sports? You did a good job, Leilani. Oh, John, help us out.
So also, I have played baseball my whole life, and I had never played soccer or basketball, and I did both of those this year. And like, even though I've never really done it, just adding to the sports, I am really grateful for having to play those sports, because I would have never gotten to play basketball or soccer, and it was also really easy to make friends.
Awesome. That's a great segue, because the next question is it really easy to make friends when you're new here? Jordan, you want to start us?
Yeah, so it is, because I just think so, especially in my grade. When I first got to KO, I didn't really know a ton of kids because a lot of us are coming from different towns, but it was very easy to make friends. And like, you have advisory group, which like allows you to, like, you go there if you're in upper prep, you go there before school starts, and you get to meet your advisor and your advisory group, and that's how you make like your first few friends. And the community at KO is like very welcoming, so you make a lot of friends, and like everybody's good to each other for the most part, which makes it really easy to make friends.
Nice. How about Isabel? This one might be for you. Can you talk about swimming and where you might go to go on the swim team?
Okay, so I tried swim team for the first time this year, and I loved it. We swam at St. Joseph's University, and we never had a meet there because it wasn't our own school. And so we faced the challenge of swimming in different places for every single meet. And we played against better teams because they had more practice, but we still had a really great season. And so we made it work.
Nice. Awesome. Another question is about this whole online learning that we've been doing in the last week or so. Could maybe each one of you talk about what that's been like, what's been a highlight for you? Leilani, why don't you start?
All right, so one of the highlights for me about this online learning was definitely the schedule because it is pretty similar to our regular block schedule. So what we would do is we would have a class first, and the great thing is that it starts at 9 a.m. so we can get like a little bit more sleep. So we'll have a 9 a.m. class, and then that'll be for an hour to 10 a.m. And then you actually have these little breaks in between. So from 10 to 10:30, you have a break. So you can do some work, just relax, just, take a breather. Like a normal schedule that we would have at KO. And then from 10:30 to 11:30, you would have another class. Same schedule, like your A day, B day schedule. And then from 11:30, well, it depends for each student depending on their music. But for me, since I'm in chorus and we meet on Thursdays, take today for example, I have a break from 11:30 to 2:30. So in that time, like today, I went out and played some basketball. I had a nice lunch. I did some work during study hall, and then from 2:30 to 3:30, we'll have class, and then we'll be done for the day. Sometimes we'll have advisory group at the end of the day. But I think the schedule is honestly like what I think that's definitely the highlight because you're not having class. Like it's just the same. And I like that KO tried to modify our regular schedule so it wouldn't be all that different.
Nice, thank you. How about you, John?
I would say honestly, it doesn't really feel that different because the teachers, I guess they were coming up with plans specifically for the online school. And so everything that we were supposed to do in class, we've been able to continue doing online. And it just, like, it didn't seem like we skipped a beat. We got right into learning again. And it's not overbearing either because of the breaks. So, yeah.
Nice. Jordan, any highlights of online learning could share with us? Uh-oh, Jordan might be frozen. We'll come back to Jordan. Isabel, could you share?
Yes. So I think it's definitely a little different because instead of seeing all your friends and your teachers in person and face to face, you're seeing them on your screen. But I think the way the teachers set it up and made it work and their patience for how difficult it can be because it's virtual made it so much easier and more comfortable. And yes, I wish I could see the teachers and all my friends, but they definitely made it work.
Awesome. Hi, Jordan.
Hi, sorry, I was frozen. But I think probably one of my highlights kind of like it's just the teachers have been really accepting about this, and like a lot of people, especially me, like I have other people streaming in my house, like my parents, and the teachers have just been accepting. Like they know if you have Wi-Fi problems, it might like cut out sometimes, but they've really been like understanding if your Wi-Fi or like you can't log on to a class, or if there's like a family thing you have to do. They've been really accepting, and they fill you in really easily. So I think that's something that they've been doing that's helped us a lot.
Awesome. So I'm getting a couple of questions about homework, and I know it might be a little bit different with our online, but could you give our guests here an idea of homework and how much you have and how you handle it? Isabel.
Okay, so I think that one of the most important things is that when you receive your homework for on that day, that you try to get it done when it's assigned, and then you have almost no workload because you got it done on a reasonable time. But what is also helpful is that it's not due the next day. So you have an extra day in case you have this big project or you need extra time. And I just feel that if you strategize and find a nice way to get your work done, then it's okay. But it's definitely not too big of a load.
Jordan.
So the one thing about the homework is in all the classes that you have, we have 6 classes at KO, and on all those classes, they have a different amount of homework, I'd say. And some of them you get like a little more. For example, for me, I'll probably get like more homework, I'd say, in like on my B-Day classes, or like 2 of my B-Day classes with our math and English. Then, for example, like my art, like studio art or like art and architecture which are the electives. So that helps because like you can balance it out, and the teachers know that you have other classes that you have to get work done. So they're not just gonna assign you like a bunch of homework from one class. They'll even it out so it's fair for the kids and the teachers.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Leilani?
I think considering everyone's schedule is different, like for me, for example, I do competitive dance, so I will have dance every single day. But I do find that the homework load isn't that bad. Also, like Izzy and Jordan were saying, you will have a different amount of homework depending on your schedule. Like for my B-Day classes, I'll have English, science, and math. And for English and math, I do find I have a bit more work, but it's nice to know that like I can get it done and also have that next day be an A day. So, oh, well, I don't have those classes, so I can also get it done, which is really nice to have that schedule of the block schedule. So you have A, B day. So you have like there is really no time where you can't get it done. Like there's always a time where you can get it done.
So that brings up a question that somebody has. So what if, guys, you are doing your homework and it's on an A day and you're working on it and you have some trouble? What can you do? John?
Well, the teachers are always available before school, after school, or during a study hall, or basically anytime you're free. You just have to email them or contact them in any way, basically, which is something that's really nice because some of the other schools I've been to, it's been hard to get in contact with them. But here, basically, for anything you need, they're there to answer your questions.
And so I'll add on to that a little bit. So one of the ways we design the schedule is so that if you say have math, I teach math, and it's on an A day, you go home, you do your A day homework, but you're doing your homework and you realize, gosh, I don't know this as well as I thought I did. The idea is that you would seek out your teacher on the B day, which is that day in between, and get some extra help and finish that homework with a better understanding so that by the time you come back to your A day, you're walking into the class with homework done accurately and with a better understanding. And so that's what both John and Isabel were talking about there. We've got some questions about advisory group. What do you do in advisory group and what is your advisor? Leilani?
My advisor is Mrs. Dunn, and she is the associate director of the middle school. An advisory group is a time, well, I see it as a time where you can go and you can talk about how your day has been, what you can focus on to make it better. In my advisory group, we like to share stories. On Friday, all advisory groups have like someone will have an advisory snack, so we can bring in snack and eat that, and we just really enjoy ourselves. And on Fridays in my advisory group, we have a little video of the day. So Mrs. Dunn will show a funny video, or someone else that might have an idea of a funny video, and we'll watch that. It's just a good time to like talk with your peers and your advisors. That person, it's almost like, it's kind of weird to say, but it's almost like your parent on campus, in like a teacher form. And he or she is that person where you can talk to, and if you have any problems or you need any solutions, they're like that person where you can talk to. And advisory group is that time where you can just enjoy yourself and talk.
Yeah. John, did you want to mention anything? I know you enjoy your advisory group.
Yeah, in my advisory group in 8th grade, there's nothing different. We just play games, and my advisor, Mr. Maxud, and I can say, I guess for all of the advisors, they're just basically there for anything you need. Like if you're having some trouble with work, or if you don't know something about like the schedule, they're just there for anything or any problems you're having.
Yeah. Here's two fun questions. Where's your favorite place on KO's campus? Favorite spot? Jordan?
My favorite spot's definitely the courtyard, which was what Mr. Dilla was showing us, because almost every day we get to go out there and play, and I like to play spike ball usually, which if you don't know, it's like a game where it's you and a partner versus another two people, and there's a net, and you have to like try to hit the net, and like the other team has to try to hit it back. And it's a really fun game, and like we play it after school too. And also like on like a fall day or like in the spring, the courtyard's very like really nice. It's a really nice place to go to just like hang out with your friends during school, like if you have a break. So that's definitely my favorite spot on campus.
Awesome. Anybody else? Okay. Lunch. A couple of questions about lunch. How long is lunch? Is lunch good? What's your favorite thing at lunch? Isabel?
So I think lunch, well, love sports and I love the academics, but I have to say lunch is one of the best parts of the day. Food at KO is so good. And I remember my first day of sixth grade when it was our first day coming and we were meeting our advisory groups. And I know that everyone was nervous, but once we sat down and all got to introduce each other over the delicious lunch, everything changed and everything clicked.
Nice. Leilani?
I agree with Izzy. Like lunch is a great time of day. It's just awesome, and it's good to know like that the food will fuel you for the rest of the day too, especially if you have like lunch then sports, which is really nice, or also just your academics after. And my favorite lunch, that's really hard, but the chicken tenders and the mashed potatoes are so good. They're amazing. One of my favorites, definitely.
Yeah, we are missing lunch here. The one thing I would add about lunch is that it is about a half an hour. And like Leilani said, it's either before sports or after sports. I think our students find enough time to get all the food that they want and even have dessert. Sometimes you have dessert first, sometimes. There's another question. Hold on, Jordan. Could each of you talk about the trips that you take? Each of you have gone on some trips. So Jordan, why don't you speak for the upper prep?
So in upper prep, you take a trip to Camp Jewel, which is in, I think it's upstate Connecticut, or I don't really know where, but it's in Connecticut, about like 50 minutes away from KO.
Yep.
And you do it like early or late September, and it's a really great experience. It's like, I think it's 2 nights and 3 days, and you get to just like, that's really how I made a lot of my friends. And I know in our group, like we played football in the morning with everybody, and like you get to go into the woods and do like team building activities. And it's a really fun time just to like make new friends. And it was really fun. So that was
Awesome. Isabel, who's in 7th grade.
So this year, we went to Camp Holbert. We stayed a couple of nights and we did all these fun activities outside, and we also did some team building activities. And I think that was a great time for me to even tighten relationships with new people. And although it was towards the middle of the year, I still made new friendships and I had a great time.
Nice. And Camp Holbert is in Vermont, just for clarification. And John, our Form 2 student.
So in 8th grade, after the first day of school, the next 3 days, you won't be at school. And so you go to Camp Winona, which is in Maine. So it's like a 5-hour drive or so. And we took a double-decker bus there, which was really cool. And then when we stayed there, I'm new to the school, so I got to meet like tons of new kids, like basically the whole grade. And like you get to go in the water and like throw around frisbees and basically just do whatever you want.
Yeah, so each of those trips has a different purpose. Like what John was talking about, Camp Winona is a Form 2 trip, and it's designed specifically to happen at the beginning of the year to help create a team-like atmosphere for the entire form, to integrate all of our new Form 2 students. And they do some canoeing and some camping overnight, and lots of games and getting to know you, and setting the groundwork for what kind of leaders they want to be in Form 2 and how they might want to leave the middle school. So lots of kind of bigger conversations. We have a couple questions about clubs, but as the kids are thinking about clubs, I know Miss Crowther has a poll for all of you. We might want to find out from you something that, here's some extracurricular activities, some that you might be interested in. And while you're voting, can we have someone talk about one of these extracurriculars? Isabel?
So one of my favorite extracurricular activities is the a cappella singing groups. I'm in the girls a cappella group. And so after school on Tuesdays, we meet for about an hour and 15 minutes or so. And we sing and we have fun. And it's one of the greatest times to kind of make new relationships with the grade above, because it's for 7th and 8th graders. And although I'm not in 8th grade, obviously, I can make friendships with the 8th graders.
Nice. And so there's a girls a cappella group on one day, and there's a boys a cappella group that meets on another day. And they have funny names like the Octopipers and F2B. Anybody else? All of these, I think I would love, what I'd love for you to remember about these clubs is many of them, most of them are student generated clubs. So if a student has an idea about a club, all they need to do is find some other people who want to be in their club and find an adult who will be their sponsor. And so we have a movie watching club, and they get together once a week and watch a piece of a movie. But we also have a movie making club, which is a group of students in all 3 grades who are making their own movie. They have a director, they have a producer, they have somebody in charge of props, and they're using the campus as their background to make their movie. So really, if you have an interest and you don't see it on this list, you have an opportunity to bring it to KO. We've had lots of different things over the years. So think about that as you are maybe joining us. When do clubs meet? Clubs meet all different kinds of times. We have some of that free time that we talked about, when that choice time that can happen on certain days. Sometimes kids stay after school. Lots of times that movie making club, they like to stay after school. A cappella happens after school. But some of the other groups like student government or the student athlete advisory committee, they meet during school. Model UN meets before school. So sometimes you all will figure that out together, what works best for most people. Someone is asking about placement tests. So I'll talk about that really quickly. We will obviously be doing some online testing this spring, but yes, there are some incoming tests to help us with placement, both for math and for language. And those help us not so much to see, which class you'll be in, but it's about how much you have learned and what you've learned. So we have more information about you. For as many new students, they have all learned really different things. And so we take that information and we pass it on to our 6th, our 7th, and our 8th grade teachers so they know specifically about you as a student, that maybe you haven't learned percents yet and we need to make sure that we teach you that, or you haven't seen linear equations and we want to make sure that you do that if you're walking into an 8th grade class. And we also do the same with languages to make sure that you are properly placed. I think some of you are in different languages. Could we talk about some of the choices of languages? Jordan, you want to help us start?
Yeah, so I'm in Spanish A, which is pretty much like the first Spanish class of middle school, which most 6th graders can do it. There's a few 7th graders in my class though. So that's one of the options in 6th grade. You can also take French class. You can also take Latin and Chinese.
Mm.
Those are the 4 options. I don't know if there's any other options in the other grades, but those are the ones in our grade.
You got them all, Jordan. Leilani?
Yeah, so basically what Jordan said, there's those things that you can choose from, those languages. And I'm in Spanish A as well. And Spanish is a really fun time, and it's really fun because Mr. Maxud is our teacher, and he's very invested in his learning, and he really, really knows like how to teach us and what to teach us. And I love that we cover a lot. Like I think the very first thing that we started learning was verbs, and I'm glad that we started learning that first because that helps with pretty much everything that we learn in Spanish, and we have learned a lot. Our class has come really, really far, and it's just such a great time. It's honestly the best.
And John, what language are you in?
I'm in Spanish C with Miss Tockler.
Yes.
So that's a really fun class. It's one of my favorites. And even though like I'd taken Spanish before, I still think I've learned like more than I have before, just based on the curriculum and the pace of the class.
Nice.
I'm in Spanish B. And I feel that, and I can say from other people's perspectives too, that in elementary school, I did Spanish for 3 years, and I definitely came into the class knowing some Spanish, but I feel that the way Mr. Maxud teaches the class, he makes sure that everyone's at the same pace, and even when people are not, he makes sure that everyone's learning new things, and I feel like that's most important.
Nice. So every student will have a choice, French, Latin, Spanish, or Chinese. We will have you take a placement test, especially if you've had some previous experience. If you've had no previous experience, you don't need to take a test. You can just select one of those choices. And we will put you in the right spot. I think the one thing I will share with you is that we work really hard for students to be immersed in a language, and that's tough when you're just learning. But our expectation is that when you walk into your language classroom, you're going to be speaking in the target language. You're also going to be writing and listening and speaking. So all of those modalities are part of every single class period. And you'll find as you get a little bit older at KO, your assessments reflect those. And what that means is that if you took, say, a final exam, if you were an 8th grader, you would have a written portion, a listening portion, and a speaking portion. So we really want to ensure that if we dropped them off in a foreign land, that they could survive. And I think all these guys could, which is awesome. We've got some questions. Can you do more than one language? It's really hard to do more than one language in a year, just because of the way the schedule works. Sometimes as you get a little bit older, you can. when you go to high school, we've had several kids, when they go into ninth grade, they add an additional language because the schedule is a little, expands a little bit. So maybe as you get a little bit older, there's a question about how many kids do you have in your classes? And that might be hard for the students. We somewhere between 12 and 16 kids, sometimes a little bit more, sometimes a little bit less. Trying to get through all these questions. Could you talk about, there's a couple about sports and traveling. When are the competitions, and do you travel or do you stay here? John.
For all of my sports so far, we've had home and away games, and these games tend to be either on Wednesday or Saturdays. And so the bus trips can either range from like going to Renbrook, like 10 minutes, to going all the way to I don't even know, like an hour and 15 minutes away. So there's definitely a range.
Nice. Jordan?
Yeah, kind of like what John was saying, you have home and away games. Sometimes you have games on like a Thursday or Tuesday, but doesn't usually happen.
Right.
And like the bus rides, even though they're long, they're really fun bus rides, like with your whole team. And like you get to have like you can get snack at the vending machines before, and it's like a really fun time just to like have fun with your teammates and like make memories on the bus. That's one of the things like I really enjoy about sports.
Yeah. So yeah, I think there'll be a variety pack, depending on your schedule of home and away. And as Isabel said, if you're on swimming, you might swim at a lot of different pools, but that's also kind of exciting. So yeah, and those, as Jordan also said, the schedule really is Wednesday and Saturday. And your coaches will work with you at the beginning of the sports season and walk you through the schedule and talk about, there may be a Saturday like for Leilani, who has a dance competition and she might not be able to make one of her games. And so that's a conversation that our students are expected to have with their coaches. The one thing I will add about sports is that the majority of their coaches are their teachers, which is also really unique. These are the people that they see in math class or in history class, and then are coaching them on a sidelines. It gives us as the faculty one more opportunity to see our students in a totally different light. So again, making sure that we understand the whole child, that's really a great way that we do that. So a few more questions, a couple of things about that choice time. What do you do during choice time? I know we talked about spike ball. Sometimes clubs meet. Are there any others, Leilani?
During choice time, you can go outside, which is a nice idea to do sometimes after learning. You've been, just inside sitting. Outside, you can go to the courtyard. You can also just there's little places around the middle school. There's a little seating area, so you can just sit down and talk with your friends. I also like to catch up on some work during that time, so I will go into one of those areas and do a little bit of work. So choice time is your choice. So there's a variety of things that you can do.
Nice. Anything else you guys want to add? There's a question about social activities. Do you guys want to talk about maybe what we do in the fall and the dances? Can somebody talk about the pumpkin monster? I forget the name of it. Isabel. It has a long name. Monster Mash.
I think it was called the Monster Mash. And so every year there is a group of 8th graders, SAC, and they have the opportunity to come together and come up with new activities and ideas like dances and the pumpkin monster mash that we had for the fall around Halloween, when we had like a donut eating competition and we got to paint pumpkins and just hang out with our friends. And I know that every year I think there's a 7th and 8th grade dance at the end of the year, which may not happen this year, but we have a variety of dances and activities that our student made.
Yeah. We try hard to have 4 kind of big social, formal social activities during the course of a year. As Isabel said, it's kind of this joint effort between the children and what they would really like to do with the administrators and with our parents association, who sometimes can help us to make these things happen. Usually there's something in the fall, as Izzy said, something with pumpkins and monsters, and there's usually lots of music and spike ball and cornhole, etc. Hopefully it's not too cold by that time. In the winters, we've done a variety of different things, from movie nights to having a dance. In the spring, we've had some outdoor competitions, some just fun things that we do outside. But they change year to year based on what the students really would like to do and what they're interested in organizing. The 6th graders are allowed to go to dances. I think there's a question about that. Are there just 6th grade dances? Every once in a while we've had just 6th grade dances, but usually it's all 3 grades. And what I will share is that we always have an additional activity happening. So sometimes you want to go to the dance because your friends are going to the dance, but you don't really want to dance. So we have a space where we can show movies and we play cards or play games or do a puzzle. So there's opportunities for you to be with your friends, but maybe not dance. But we have a favorite DJ at this middle school. And so every time he comes, there's a lot of energy and fun. I see all the children are smiling. There is, I forgot one big thing we haven't talked about: dress code. There's got some questions about dress code. Jordan.
So the dress code at KO isn't that, it's pretty simple. It's just, for a boy, you pretty much have to wear like a collared shirt like what I'm wearing, or you can, like, as a sweatshirt, you can wear like a quarter zip pretty much. And for your pants, you can use, in the spring and like early fall, I think you can wear like shorts, like nice, like say you're going to golf and you want to wear like golf shorts, something like that, like nice shorts. And then in the winter, you can wear like khakis or similar pants like that. And on dress up days, it's just for the boys, it's just a suit and tie, like slacks, a suit and tie. And then on dress down days, you can wear whatever you want.
Yeah.
So at first, I think the dress code is something to get used to, and maybe it's different than what you usually wear, but it's definitely not too complicated, and the teachers are very patient in how, like, sometimes it's really new to get used to it, but it usually is like my sweater or something in the nicer category than sweatpants and a hoodie, but we make it work. So
Yeah. I think, we do have some collared shirts for the gentlemen. The girls wear sweaters or blouses, or, a step up from a t-shirt. Isabella's right. It feels like it's going to be a lot, but I think once you're here, you see, oh, it's not as as bad as you think it is. You can wear sneakers every single day. Yeah, you can wear shorts in September and in May. So that's really nice. And on the dress up days are just when we are celebrating something and we want to dress up and be special, or we're welcoming someone to our community, a guest that we want to dress up for. So we do that. Maybe each of you could talk about the electives. That's something that we haven't talked about, and we've got a couple questions about electives. So in 6th grade, Leilani, could you talk about them?
All right, so for 6th grade, there are actually 4 electives. So everyone starts off with technology, and for that course, it's basically like, like they help you with like Google Docs, Google Drive, all of that stuff. So you can just get situated, because not everyone has the same knowledge with technology, and so it's a great class. And Miss Nolan, Miss Cassidy, and Mr. Mr. Gerganis do it, and it's really, really fun. And then there's studio art, which is like painting and clay, and that's with Mrs. Nicholson in the art room, which is one of my favorite spots at KO. It's really unique and it's really cool. And then there's art and architecture with Mrs. Cassidy. And Miss Cassidy, she teaches us like ancient Greek, ancient Rome, ancient Egypt, and we do like fun projects and things along the lines of those things. And then there's drama with Mr. Reynolds, which is what I'm in currently. And I can't speak much about that, but because I just started it yesterday. But you do like dance and acting and singing in the dance studio, and I think you go to like Black Box Theater, maybe. I'm not sure, but those are the electives.
Awesome. 7th grade, Form 1.
So just like in 6th grade, the year is split into 4 quarters. And I started, and there's art, just like in 6th grade, where we paint, we do a bunch of different art projects that we can then take home at the end. And then we have coding with Mr. Scranton, and that was definitely something new for me. And I remember in elementary school, I was never a big fan, but I actually loved it. And then we have public speaking, where you make speeches about historical topics or fun things depending on your teacher, and you work on some acting and some speaking out loud to other people. And then we also have life skills, where we talk about everyday things. And yes.
Yep. So every grade has 4 quarters, and so they rotate through 4 electives. And John, there are more choices in Form 2. So John.
So personally, this year I've done public speaking, ceramics. Now I'm in life skills, which you need to take. And what?
You forgot.
Yeah, I don't even. All right, but there's also drawing. I'm trying to think. I think maybe there's. Oh yeah, journalism. That's what I took. Journalism. And I think there's more. I don't even know. There's too many to count. But the thing I would recommend is just try to take something that like you don't see yourself as. So like, I don't really see myself as an artist, but I still took ceramics, and it was really fun for me to just do something that I have never done before.
Awesome. Yeah, that's a big part of coming to KO, is that you're going to be introduced to lots of things that you might not have seen yourself as, but we would really love for you to try and find maybe some new things that you didn't know. John is right. There are a host of art classes that you can take in 8th grade. As he mentioned, ceramics, painting, drawing, and printmaking, I believe. There's also a journalism class, and what I love about that class is, students are looking for stories, they're interviewing people all over campus, and then We have a very, very well-respected upper school newspaper, and we have in the middle school our section that goes into the upper school paper. So the students really love seeing it come out because there's a whole middle school part to it. They also can take advanced public speaking, which is the second version of what Isabel was talking about. There are 2 robotics courses, and there is a theater course that is offered. So a whole host of things to try. There are a lot of questions about, I know we talked a little bit about our trips that we go on, but there's some questions about how do you transition to a new school? And what's it like to be new? And what are those first few days like? And will you make friends? And what does that feel like? Yeah, Isabel, why don't you start us?
So I remember my first day of 6th grade because that's when I started. And I just remember just how welcoming everyone was. Our first couple of days, we got to get the feel of everything. We got to spend time with our advisory groups to better know them. But I feel that the way everyone acted when you first walked in made the big difference. And even though it can be really nerve-wracking in the beginning, everyone made it seem like it was so easy.
Leilani?
I agree with Izzy, and also KO did a great job of offering different activities for us. I think it was the second day. Yeah, I think it was the second day of school. We had like a little event, and we did like this egg drop contest. And so they were like little teams, and it was like a mix of 8th graders, 6th graders, and 7th graders. And you would have to come up with like a device like to put your egg in. So like when it dropped, it didn't crack. And it was really fun. And obviously coming into a new school, it's hard and it's weird and different, but KO does an amazing job of like really welcoming us. And at that egg drop, I had a great time, and I had a great time, also meeting kids from other grades, not like also from my grade too. It was just a really fun time, and it was a great time to also like experience what we could do at KO that was different than other schools.
Nice. So John, I think he'll have an interesting viewpoint of this because John joined us just this year as a Form 2 student, as an 8th grader. So John, why don't you talk to your experience?
Yeah, so this year, as I said before, we started with Winona, and I thought, I've known like a couple people like just from sports outside of school, but I thought there was going to be like friend groups and it was going to be hard to meet new people. But honestly, it felt like I had known most of these people like since 6th grade. Just everybody was really outgoing, and it felt like it was just easy to meet people, and especially with your advisor, it makes it not as nerve-wracking as I thought it would be. And yeah, it was just super easy. It was like seamless. And once we got back to school, it felt like I'd been there for years.
And Jordan.
So one of the things, especially if you're a new coming upper prepper, the one good thing is everybody's in the same spot as you. Everybody's new to KO, and like most likely maybe not, but I knew like a few kids, kind of like what John said. I knew a few kids just from like sports or just from other places coming into KO, which helps because then like you know them. And one of my friends who I knew before KO was actually in my advisory group, which was nice. And I just think like it's cool because you get to make new friends at KO, and everybody like it's really easy to make new friends. So I think that's one of the cool things too about KO.
Nice. Oh, Iz.
Just to add is how I definitely had my group of friends from elementary school. And I feel like the greatest thing is that even though they when they took their own path and they went to different schools, of how we still stay in contact to this day. And even though I've made so many new friends at KO, that I still have my elementary school friends. And I feel like that's like the most important thing, is that even though you might not be going to the same school as other people that you know, that you still stay in touch.
Nice. So one of the other questions is like, how do you make that transition, especially if you're coming in 6th grade? What's the transition like from being an elementary school student to a middle school student? And I think what they're maybe getting at is academically, how hard of a transition was that? Leilani?
Academically, it wasn't hard at all because one thing that a lot of the teachers did was they would give us like a little bit of like in math we called it like an entrance ticket just to see where we're at. And also everyone was pretty much like around like this in the same place. Like, you know, we all knew, I don't know, like how to add fractions or something like that. And even if you didn't know that, you know, we would like Mrs. Rep, who was my math teacher, like she would help us, you know, ease into it. And all the teachers did. It was super, super, super easy to transition academically because all the teachers had a great like sense of where we were.
Nice. Anybody else? No? Okay. A couple of just questions that I'll answer really quickly. Is food at lunch nut free? Yeah, we work hard at being a nut-free environment. I would also share that if there are food allergies or intolerances that students have, our students often meet with our head chef and go through some of the things that they can eat and cannot eat and make those accommodations. We do have a whole gluten-free area. John, you want to say something about that?
Yeah, I know from experience because I'm allergic to peanuts, tree nuts, and seeds, and I haven't had any trouble this whole year. I haven't even had to talk to the chef because it's super easy there's like a bunch of TVs and it says like what allergens there may be in certain foods, but there's always stuff for you to eat, like there's salad bar or pasta bar, just every day. It's all good.
Awesome. There is a school newspaper. It's run by the upper school, and we, as the middle school, have a section in it. When does school start? Every day it starts at 8 a.m. I would say that most people get here a little bit early. You know, try to get here around 7:45, 7:50, unpack their bags and get ready for that first period. We usually start the school year kind of the end of August, early September, if you're thinking about that. Our dances do raise money. Lots of times sometimes they are for a specific cause. I will share that we have what's called a student fundraising committee that is comprised of 8th grade students who have applied to be on this committee. And the idea is that if you're a student at KO and you have an idea about raising money and you want to bring it to school, you have to run your idea by this committee and they vote on whether or not we are going to do that fundraiser. We're working really hard at picking, I believe it's 2 per semester so that we can really concentrate our efforts. And we've done some really cool things about saving trees this year. And I can't remember the other one off the top of my head, but we worked on some trees that were in an area out west that is damaged by the wildfires of the past year. Let's see. Can you stay late after school? Absolutely. We're open till 5:30 every single day. Some students stay every day till 5:30. Some people just stay because they want to hang out with their friends for a little bit. Some people get extra help. Some people are in one of those clubs. But there's always an adult on duty, and is there to make sure that you're doing what you're supposed to. What happens if you're having a problem, right? If you're not sure whether it's you're not getting along with someone, or you've lost something, or you're not sure what to do, what would you do, my friends? Who would you go to? Leilani.
Do you have like a problem that's a bit more emotional, and if you have it like with someone else, there's two things. Like you could go to the school, to the counselor, Mrs. Doyle, or you could also just talk to your advisor, and your advisor, could talk to your parents, and then you can work things out from there. So there's different options, different things that you can do.
Yeah. Jordan?
Like what Ivani said, but also something I do a lot. Like if I play sports, like I'm a competitive athlete, I like to play sports, and like say like if I get in like an argument with somebody about like a sport or something, like we usually just like solve it amongst ourselves. Like it's usually we either realize that it's something that's like kind of like silly, like not really worth fighting over, or we just like come to the conclusion, like we just like say you're saying, oh, I'm better than you, or like something in that situation, you like come to the conclusion we're both good, and like we shouldn't be fighting, we're on the same team. So like that's one of the good things, is it's really not hard to like come to a conclusion with the argument with your like amongst your teammates and stuff, or like amongst your classmates at KO, which is something that I really enjoy.
Yeah. And
Sometimes I feel like one of the major issues, besides thinking about anything that's happening at home or just like school, but getting stressed over balancing homework and school, or homework and sports, and any other extracurricular activities. I play soccer all year round, and that's out of school anyway, plus the sport in school and other activities like my Hebrew school or the a cappella group, and that's just in 1 week. And so I feel like sometimes there are times where I need to have an extra day or two to finish assignments, or I've known people that have had to talk with teachers, but I feel like some of the best people to talk to is your advisor, because I feel like sometimes I forget that they're just an advisor and like a teacher, but that they're just not like just your friend, because I feel like they're some of the most compassionate people, and no matter what, they're always there. So I feel like, yeah.
Yeah. Advisors play a very special role in that way, that they are obviously there for the academic life, but they're also there for the social, emotional piece of school and of life. Again, talking about that whole child. We're getting towards our end here. And so I was wondering if we might end our panel. And I know there are tons of questions still coming in. You are awesome. One of the things we love about KO is questions. So I promise that if we didn't get to one tonight, that you, as Ms. Santiago said, you'll reach out to admissions, or you can always reach out to me. You can find my email address on the website, and I'm happy to answer or call you if you would like to have a conversation. But I'd love for our students, who have been amazing, to give up their evening. So first I want to thank them. But I wonder if we can end with just one thing you really love about KO, or a reason why you're glad you came. Jordan.
I'm glad I came to KO, definitely for how much I've learned in the past like 6 months, I'd say, about like especially like what Mrs. Sig and Mr. Dill were talking about at the beginning, like the teachers are so great at KO, and they really help you have a different learning experience than a lot of other schools can provide, and it's really great. And I know like I'm it's like really easy to ask them questions or like confront them about something if you have to talk to them about like a problem or like something that you don't understand. So that's something that's like what I really love about.
Thanks, Jordan. Leilani?
Something that I love about KO, and I'm so, so glad that I came, are honestly my friends. Like, if I had just stayed in my town, I've known these people since second grade and a really long time. But I'm glad I came to KO because all my friends, like, I've just met so many people who I know, like, are going to be my friends, like, for a really, really long time. They've just been almost like different, but in the best way possible, of course. And it's just been a great experience to have the friends that I've made here. It's awesome.
Thank you. Isabel?
Two things. First, the people, whether I'm talking about my friends or people that I'm not as close with, and the teachers, everyone is just so amazing and so welcoming, and I never have to worry about someone not being nice. And although there can always be issues, everyone is just so understanding and so like just so nice. And then, but I also feel like it's the way the teachers challenge me. I think that I feel like the teachers put up this bar for me and they put it higher than they would expect, but then when I reach it, it's the best feeling ever. And so I feel like the way that they push me and continue to push me no matter what is one of the greatest things.
Thank you, Isabel. And John?
I'd say my favorite thing so far is that I've kind of like tried new things and gone out of my comfort zone more than ever before, like with soccer, basketball, or ceramics, or public speaking. I would have never tried those things if I didn't come to KO, but now that I do, I know like that I like them or that I don't. And so it's just a good experience.
Awesome. Thank you, John. So thank you, everybody. I'm going to hand just back over to Meredith Crowther, who's in admissions, who's going to help us with this last piece.
Okay, so I think, great. So first of all, I want to say wow, and thank you so, so, so much to Jordan and Leilani and Izzy and John. They are just amazing, and it is students like them is part of the reason why I absolutely love working here. And yes, they are amazing, but they really are a good representation of the students that we have here. And so again, great job, you guys. Thank you for taking the time and for just being so honest and open and willing to share your experiences with us. Obviously, I want to thank our head of school, Tom Dillo, and Ann Sciglimpaglia for spending some time with us as well. Obviously, we didn't get to answer all of the questions. We had over 80 questions that came in, but we will figure out a way to either have some kind of quick take where we answer some of those, but like Ann said, and we said before, if you have more in-depth questions, please don't hesitate to just reach out to us. Email at missions@kingswoodoxford.org, and we will either get back to you or connect you to somebody who has the answers for you. I just want to share a couple thoughts in closing so that so that we can get you out of here at 7:30. Like we said we would. First of all, I just want to circle back to this idea that, and you might remember hearing this in the message that I sent out, but the last 2 weeks have just been amazing. Watching our entire school move to this sort of remote learning, not just the classes, but every aspect of this community, from athletics to clubs, organizations, and so many pieces of that were really student-led. And again, that just goes to show to me, not just how amazing our kids are, but also how they grow and how they progress in their time here. And that's certainly something that we have all the adults in the community to thank for, and I'm just feeling very grateful at this moment for being part of that community. The other thing we didn't really go into too much, but I do want to mention is that, as you know, KO is really a 6 through 12 school. And although our focus tonight was on the middle school, the vast majority of our middle schoolers actually stay and end up being in our high school and finishing up in our high school. So we wanted to take just a couple of minutes to give you a little bit of a glimpse of what that 6 through 12 trajectory looks like, and what what these students' experiences look like once they're here for a little bit. And so we have a video that we're going to premiere with all of you. And again, it focuses more on sort of the high school experience, but you'll also see glimpses of the middle school. And hopefully it'll also give you a sense of how the two divisions kind of work, how they interact and they work together. So here we go.
I'll never let you slip away.
I chose KO because of the small class sizes.
Because of the academic rigor.
My friend's dad came here in the 80s.
I'm a faculty student, so I basically grew up here.
I'm yours until the end of time.
After my first year at KO, I couldn't leave.
I wasn't expecting such a welcoming community.
KO is like another family to me.
Right away, I basically felt like I was at home.
I went from being a new sophomore to being president of the grade by the end of the year.
When I was in middle school, I did not think of myself as an athletic person, but now I'm a captain of a varsity team.
I play volleyball in the fall and then track and field in the spring, and then I'm in 2 singing groups.
I do mock trial and I work on student government. I'm the Form 3 senator.
Lacrosse is my main sport. It's really what brings my happiness. I was just in Thoroughly Modern Millie. It was super fun. I was Miss Flannery and the dance captain.
We're walking a symposium right now, which is an honors English class that studies one author, and then they come and visit and talk to us.
I took forensic science. We did this project where there was a fake body in a house near KO, and we're supposed to analyze it. You watch all these TV shows about crime scenes. We actually did it.
The basketball team, we all took a trip to TD Garden, which is where the Boston Celtics play, and we got a chance to compete on their court, which was a really life-changing experience.
One thing that was really special at KO is our Global Online Academy.
I'm able to do things like public speaking tournaments, debate competitions, and things like mock trial.
I wasn't really prepared for the real genuine desire to help students.
I could not be happier here with Mr. Reynolds. I actually followed him here.
My teacher, Miss Caswell, just immediately took an interest in everybody in our class.
I definitely have to say I am a more passionate learner than I was when I first walked in. Do I like the food? The answer is yes.
The food was half the reason why I stayed.
When I first came here, I loved it. It's so much better than my old school.
I love the salad bar. I get salad every day. Soup bowl day. Soup bowl day is amazing.
KO has led me in the direction of the goals that I want to achieve in life. I want to be the President of the United States.
I love KO because I feel like I can achieve anything here. It was like my dad's place, but now I've been able to make it my own. Hi, I'm Molly.
I'm Isaias.
My name is Mike.
Welcome to KO.
Welcome to KO.
Welcome to KO!
So just a few last things. Again, we want to encourage you to reach out if you have questions and go to the admitted student webpage. We will continue to add information to that page in the next few days. Reach out to the admissions office, reach out to any of us. We would be happy to answer any questions. And thank you once more for joining us. Thanks everybody who was part of the panels, and have a great night. Thank you, everybody.
Thank you.